Hi, everyone. You have just entered Encouragement on Fire, and my name is Shirley Farrar. And this week we are discussing obesity, and this part 3. So, welcome. Welcome to the space. We always want to make sure that we have some data, some research. So, we're going to talk about that today. But we're also going to talk about some facts, some statistics based on research, but some things that you may want to know as we're talking and having this discussion. So, I grabbed some information from the APA.org. There's an article. It is Mind, Body, and Health. It's in regards to obesity is one of the nation's fastest growing and most troubling health problems. And so this is something that, just like any other chronic disease, we have to address it. We have to bring awareness to it. And we have to continue to speak about it, right? It's not something that we just talk about at one time and then, okay, we don't need to talk about it anymore. We're constantly bringing awareness throughout weeks and months and years because someone didn't hear about it. So we're talking about a lot of different chronic diseases, but today it is obesity. So I always want to talk to you in regards to our Encourage Minute. So I am going to actually go there right now. This is Encourage Minute, and we are now talking about cancer. This podcast is based on defeating cancer, sickness, and disease. And we're always going to encourage our viewers, our listeners that are battling or preventing cancer, sickness, and disease. So in the Encourage Minute, we're going to talk about specifically cancer. So according to the CDC, research from the American Cancer Society says excess body weight. So remember, we're talking about obesity this month. So excess body weight may be responsible for about 11% of cancers in women and 5% of cancers in men in the United States. We talked about this in previous podcasts, and what we said was what? There was 3 things that we have to do in order for us to prevent cancer, for us to, or at least keep it at bay, right? And if you are in remission, how do you keep it at bay so it doesn't return? So there's 3 things that we're going to do. And the first one is we are going to eat right. That's what we're going to do. So we've been talking about all the different things, eating right. And if we get some other items, we're going to tell you about that as we're moving forward, but we're going to eat right. So you need to make sure you're talking to your nutritionist. In addition to looking at our podcast, the previous podcast that we've had, we've talked about many foods and different things that are very healthy for you. And you know, like I said, it's one of those things. You have a Google, you can Google different things, foods that are good while you're in the middle of chemo, radiation, or other. And, you know, always reach out to your insurance if you have it. If not, there is Google. The second thing is having a healthy lifestyle. So remember, for each of us, that is different, our lifestyle. You know, some people are, you know, they get out, they are involved in programs and, you know, very active in the community. There's different things that you are doing. Just making sure that you are not smoking, limit drinking. There's certain things that contribute to being healthier and not healthier. Make sure you're not around a lot of toxins. So your drinking water, those type of things, being, you know, like I said, preventive, doing all those things that you need to do. And then the third thing is, of course, physical exercise. We've been talking about that. Okay. Physical exercise is so important for all of us in, you know, and staying healthy. I was feeling very sad last week. I told you I'm going to be as authentic as I can. And this week, I'm feeling a lot better. I have encouraged myself like I'm encouraging you. And I have decided to begin again and to put in additional work because, yes, I believe that I am worth it. So I'm going to put in the work to lose the weight. I'm going to put in the work to build muscle. I'm going to put in the work to be healthier. Sometimes we think, oh, well, I'm doing everything. It's always a space for growth, right? In all areas of our lives to continue to do that. Okay, so let's get back to our regular programming. There are many complications caused by obesity. Obesity affects cancer, like we just talked about, but it also affects high blood pressure, hypertension. One of the things that many people will have is, inflammation in your body, high LDL cholesterol. Got to be careful with that. It's something because no matter what the chronic disease is, many of these are related to it. And we're going to say this over and over again because I really want to get that message out to you that, all of these are so connected. You can have dual situations or dual conditions, and you may not even be aware of it until the one becomes really prevalent. And then all of a sudden your doctor says, well, also you have high blood pressure, also you have this. So if you know you have one condition, try to avoid getting the others while you're working on that one to recover, to bring forth healing in your body. Just doing whatever you need to do to make that happen. I'm a person of prayer, so you have to take it to prayer. You have to have faith in God, and you have to do the work. You have to do the work. And I think that's the most difficult thing. I'm telling you because this is the seat I'm sitting in right now. Type 2 diabetes. So obesity definitely affects type 2 diabetes. It also affects coronary heart disease. These are all the things that we talked about, in previous months. You got to be careful. If you know that you're susceptible to these different things, then you're going to have to do the work. I want to talk about stroke because that's another one that obesity affects directly. So studies estimate that each unit increase in body mass. So remember we talked about the BMI, right? Body mass index. It increases the risk of stroke by 5%. So every unit, so think of that. So you can go actually to the CDC. They have an actual calculator online, and they take your height and they take your weight, and then they give you the BMI, and they let you know if you're obese, if you are overweight, if you are regular, if you're underweight. So I encourage you to take a look at that because wherever you are on that, it can cause you to be at risk. I know a lot of times people say, well, I feel good, I'm okay. But if the medical signs say you may be at risk, you have to take that seriously. Okay. So think about it. If you're considered on the BMI being obese or overweight, and then you may also have high blood pressure, maybe your cholesterol is up, think about that. That's several different things, chronic diseases, and they need to be addressed. Instead of just sitting on that and saying, oh, well, I got other things to do. I got too much going on in my life. You don't have too much going on in your life. You are important. Taking the time out to work on you, and then those things will work themselves out. I'm encouraging whoever that is today, you are important. Put those things down because you matter. And having a stroke or your blood pressure up. I have recently had a family member who went through a serious chronic issue, and it's scary. It's very scary because when you hear about it, when a family member hears about someone who just had a serious chronic illness where they're going to the hospital, For the rest of the family, that's it probably is scary for that person. But for the rest of the family that's close to you, it's very scary. And the first thing people are thinking, I may not get to say I love you to that person, or I may not get to see their wonderful face again, right? So I encourage you, whoever you are out there, do the work, because your family members really want you to be around. And if it's not your family members, your friends, right? If it's not your friends, then I'm here and I'm telling you, you matter and we want you to be around. There are complications caused by obesity. Another one is gallbladder disease. I'm going to read to you what it says. It says, the body secretes more bile after large or high fat meals. So I guess it's about the absorption, when the body begins to absorb, the secretions or the high fat content. So that's why they're always saying lean meats, right? Get rid of the fats. You can have some fats. There are some healthy fats, but then there are some dangerous fats. So we have to get lean meats, and you have your chicken and your beef, and they say 98% lean or whatever. That stuff matters. I know we're looking at it and we're saying, well, I don't have time for that. You have time. If you make time, you have time. The worst thing is not to have any time left. So we have to be proactive and say, you know what? You don't know how many days you have in this earth. Now, for my faith-based people, we believe in 70, that at minimum 65 years that we will all live in this earth. However, there are people living 100 years old, 80 years old, 90 years old. My mother is 77 years old. Bless her heart. She is turning 77 this coming week. Mom, I love you. Happy birthday. And I'm telling you, she is spry. She is driving. She is doing all she needs to do. She goes to the gym. She does the stretch lab. She is doing what she needs to do to stay limber, to get out there. And she always tells me, I don't want to be a burden. She's never going to be a burden to us. However, I get it. She wants to be independent. And guess what? I want her to be independent. And that's why I'm doing the work, because I don't want, to have to put any burden on my husband, or I don't want to put burdens on my children or anyone else. After going through what I just went through, I'm telling you guys, family goes through. They go through a lot when you get sick, and they sacrifice. They sacrifice their lives to make sure that you live. So I encourage you to do the work, so you can be here and to have fun with your family instead of going through sickness with your family. I hope that you make a commitment today that, you know what, say, Shirley, I'm committed to being healthy from this day forward, that I'm going to do whatever it takes. See, each of us has a different healthy. So you're going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to do whatever it takes, all of us. And we're going to do this because we all matter. Okay. Then there are other, let's see, osteoarthritis. That's a breakdown of cartilage and bone within a joint. And then there's sleep apnea and breathing problems. Come on. I have gone through this myself, where at nighttime, the snoring. Come on. Yes, the snoring. My husband says, you do know you sometimes you snore. I was like, no, I don't snore. But I know I do. We all know once we start gaining weight, you start to snore. And so, first of all, some people actually, there's some other issues, and that's why they have the sleep apnea. But if you are overweight, that also can be contributed to it. And for me, I know that is the case. Now, I do not have sleep apnea. However, I do snore. There's some other symptoms related to it. And do I have breathing problems? No, because they did a test. I went through all of that, and doctor said I'm fine. But I do snore. So I don't snore all night, but I do every so often. So I know when I'm not as heavy, I don't have that issue. That's something I'm working on. And then there's a low quality of life, right? Obesity does affect quality of life. You don't want to go places because you're tired. You avoid crowds, unable to get the right clothing. Oh my goodness. When I started gaining weight, oh my goodness, you guys, you have no idea. I'm sitting there saying, this is crazy. I can't fit into some of my clothes. I can sympathize, I can empathize. And I'm saying that it puts you in a place of compassion and empathy, and you understand. And I said, okay, I have to do the work, and also I'm encouraging others. If you're in your seat and you are saying, I need to work on me too, and I'm not comfortable in my own skin, not that you don't love yourself, because I love myself, so it's not that, but you love yourself, but it's just a matter of, you gain some weight, you're not comfortable where you are, and you're saying, hey, I want to get healthy, I want to do something better, something different, so then I can feel good. When I put on my bathing suit, I can feel good when I put on my clothes, they fit right. We all want to get to that place. A lot of times offices have these, everybody is losing weight, and that there's a pool, and you see who can win the pool. A lot of the offices, they're doing that. I believe my office is going to be doing that too this year. I'm not saying I'm going to join that, but I'm saying that sometimes you got to get motivated, right? As long as no one is bashing anyone or talking down to anyone because they didn't lose weight or making people feel uncomfortable. Now, that's something totally different, and I do not agree with that. However, if everyone is encouraging one another and supportive of everyone and speaking positive to each other, I think that's a great thing. One of the things that I don't particularly like, and that I have seen when everyone gathers at the end and someone may not have lost as much weight as somebody else. And so the people who are sitting there who didn't, lose weight, who probably needed it more, feel worse than the people who are losing weight fast because it's easier for them. So I'm just saying, consider what I'm saying, because you don't want to hurt people. This is a very sensitive subject. I know, because I'm affected by it right now, and I'm telling you, you want people to be motivated. You want them to be encouraged, and whatever you can do to help them, not hurt them, that would be a great thing. Okay. So then we have mental illness, such as clinical depression, oh my goodness, and other disorders. Obesity, complications caused by obesity. Now, I can tell you, because it says having feelings of sadness, anxiety, or stress, it can contribute to eating more. Everybody knows this. These are common things that, that makes sense. Even though statistically you can go to CDC, and they tell you about these things, but we know this because all of us have been there. You're sitting in your house and you're getting depressed or you're sad. First thing I was thinking when I was sad last week, I'm thinking, forget it all. I'm gonna go have me a chocolate sundae. I didn't have one, but I was thinking it, right? So we have these triggers in our minds. We have to control them because we want to make sure we stay on the path of doing positive things for ourselves, right? So I'm not going to get into triggers and all that stuff, because it is about the cognitive, like psychology, for us to be able to do what it is we need to do. And all I can say is that in this situation, if you have obesity, there's going to be probably some sadness. There's going to be depression, right? There's going to be these triggers that influence whether we're eating back and forth. There's going to be some things going on, but they kind of work hand in hand, and it's a vicious cycle and it has to be broken. So psychologically, we have to break that. We think of mental illness as something being so severe, and it can be not as severe, but it can be severe enough to cause us harm. And even in the small things, because a lot of times we think, oh, well, it's yes, it's extreme, it's severe. No, 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 no. The small things, that's where it starts. Those small things that we didn't address, right? First day, you're feeling sad. And next week, you're still feeling sad. You didn't get motivation. You didn't get rid of some of those triggers. You're focused. You're real focused on it instead of figuring out how can we see these things in a more positive way and address them differently, changing the cognitive, right? Focusing on that. How do we do that? And we do that through assistance. Now, next week, I'm going to talk to you guys about some different people in the industry that help us, right? Because we're always talking about, well, what are jobs? What are job titles that individuals do? And there are plenty of people. There are plenty of people who will assist you in that process. And I'm going to make sure that you know who they are and how you can even get in contact with them. How about that? Obesity has a way of causing body pain and just difficulty, right? So the University of Michigan study says the answer is losing about 10% of your body weight. So if you're having aches and pains and you know it's contributed, see, sometimes it's not, but if your doctor's saying that it's contributed to your weight. I remember when my doctor looked at me and he said, okay, we're over the hurdle, sir. We came to the other side, and I know your body is affected by the drugs that you had to take. I know you're affected by this. The other diagnosis, it causes the inflammation, which causes bloating and all those type of things. He said to me, he says, okay, so I'm going to still need you to lose these amount of pounds. And I was like, oh my God. What? I said, you know how difficult this is? Because with the neuropathy and all this, I'm like, what? And he's like, I'm going to need you to lose these amount of pounds. He said, I know it's going to be difficult. Like, he's prepping me. I know it's going to be difficult, but in time you can do it. So I was like, man, but I'm so glad my doctor has faith in me that he believes that I can do it. So if he believes I can do it, then I know I can do it. But I also believe in myself, and I have a support system around me, and I'm going to do this. And you're all going to help make me accountable. So I'm going to come on here and I'm going to let you know as I am losing weight and toning and doing what I need to do. I'm going to let you know because I need accountability in this process. Trust me, you guys. But if I don't succeed in some things, I hope that you will encourage me and you will say, Cheryl, it's okay. Begin again. It's okay. Get up. Do what you have to do. And we're gonna do that for each other. Okay. Now I want to give you one more study today. And this study is actually published from an actual journal. It's actually published from a journal called Obesity, right? That's fitting for our topic, which is obesity. This research was done from 2008 to 2010, and it was a telephone survey. So they did it over the telephone. And what they did was this study, majority of the individuals were white, 85.1%. And then they have everyone else as other. Okay. So take this with a grain of salt because you still need to add in cultural differences and things of that nature. If we come up with a different study, we could provide that for you, but you can also look into it yourself. But I just want to let you know the population that was used for this particular study. They reported their height and their weight, the BMI. And based on that information, they came up with 36.8% of the people in the study fell into low or normal body mass, or BMI. And then I believe that they said that 38.3% were considered overweight and 24.9% were considered obese. Okay, so they had a variety of different people in this research. And that's what you want, because you want to say, well, what were the results? So the results were that just like in any survey, they're asking multiple questions about the pain in your legs, the pain in your, your hands, your arms, your feet, your thighs, like your neck. They're asking you all these different questions. So if you want to know the questions, then you can look it up, but it's the Journal of Obesity. And like I said, they had a specific study on there. I can put that in the actual chat for our Facebook page if you like. But let me see. The results were researchers found that as weight increased, right? As the weight increased, just like the University of Michigan study about losing 10% of the body weight. Well, this one said, as the weight increased, so did the likeliness that a person would be experiencing pain. So the research speaks for itself, okay? But most of us, as we gain weight, right, or we have gained weight, we know this to be true because I don't need always to have a research study. I know I am the study. And, do my knees hurt as I gain weight? Absolutely. So I know I need to get rid of that. Okay. Does other body parts hurt? So we need to get rid of it. So I'm encouraging you guys out there. And like I said, if you are in the middle of chemo or radiation, this is not for you right now. But later on, when you are done, your body may be affected like mine was, where you're gaining weight because your metabolism was affected. So I want you to know you can still, it takes time, year out, you still may be affected. Give your body time. Okay. That's really important. My doctors kept telling me that. Cheryl, give it time. The neuropathy in your hands, your arms, your legs, your feet, they may dissipate. Some people, it doesn't, but they may, and they were right. And I'm down to my feet now with the neuropathy. And I believe in a few months, that's going to be gone too, because I'm a person of prayer. And I believe that that's all going to go away. Okay. And God, he's been healing me. And I'm so thankful, just so thankful. I just want to make sure that I'm encouraging you, that you're feeling the love and the encouragement. So I want everyone to make sure that you are calling our phone line. That's 856-857-1859. And that's 856-857-1859. And if you want prayer to give a testimony, feel free and we will share it online. We actually had an individual recently who recovered from back trauma, where the actual, I'm gonna let that person tell. I don't want to tell who it is, but we've been praying for this particular individual, and we thought they were going to have back surgery after a lot of therapy, and that's what the doctor had told this person. And then all of a sudden, person went back to the doctor, and guess what? They said, you don't need surgery anymore. Your back is well. So I'm just saying, God still heals, right? When it's personal, when you have people that you're praying with, and it happens for you or your family or your friends in your inner circle, this is real. Okay. So I just wanted to share that with you. And so if you have those type of testimonies, please share them so we can share them online. And we don't have to say who it is. We can just say the person's first name, or if they have a nickname. We just want them to know that we are praying with you and that we are here for you. Okay. And also, we also want you to know that if you want to continue to help the podcast to go forth in different venues, because we're trying to add some additional spaces on social media so people can be encouraged, right? So not only are you getting encouraged, but other people will get encouraged. So if you would like to seed into the encouragement on fire, you can actually do that in the QR code below, or you can go on our actual website for HouseBreachRestoration.org, which we have under the Meeting House, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And, you know, like I said, we are here to make sure that if there's individuals in our community that reach out to us and they are in need, we're either going to help them ourselves, or if we have the actual resources in the community that they live in, we're going to try to make sure that they get that information and that they follow up with that information, because everyone knows most of the time in our lives, if we just had known, we would have done it. If we just would have known, we would have used that resource, right? At least that's the way I feel. If I just had known, I would have did that. And a lot of times people don't know. So we want to give them access and information. Okay. All right, then, everybody. So I am glad again that you have been with me today. And I am Shirley Farrar, and this has been Encouragement on Fire. And I am just, you guys have no idea. I am so glad, so blessed to be with you every single week. I'll talk to you soon.